I'm the boss with the hot sauce. I'm a dreaming man. I'm a lamp lighter to the promised land.
I'm going to start the pie by making a pie dough. Now my pie dough is fairly simple. I just use some all-purpose flour, 2 cups of all-purpose flour, a little bit of salt, about 3/4 of a teaspoon, some butter, some lard, and some ice cold water. I'm going to whisk this. It does the same thing as sifting. It aerates it, it gets out the little lumps. If you're using like a pastry flour for a different dish, then definitely sift it because there's more lumps. But for something like all-purpose flour, as you can see, it's totally fine right now. Now here's a little trick I learned from an old boss of mine when making pie dough. I know some people like to use a food processor to incorporate the fat, or use a little pastry fork, but a grater works fabulously. Works so well. So I just toss the fat. It's ice cold. I've had it in the freezer for about an hour. You could do it even for a half hour, 20 minutes. That'll solidify it enough. And you just toss it in the flour so it doesn't get all over your hands. And then you just grate it right into the flour. And it makes these perfect little bits so that you don't have to use a pastry fork. You want to not use the palm of your hand because the palm of your hands are warmer than your fingers. And this will make perfect little bits, as you can see. See, it's already starting to soften, but it's still nice and cold. You want your ingredients for a pie dough to be as cold as possible. So I have ice cold water over there. The fat's been frozen. That way you'll continue to have these nice little lumps of fat running through the pie dough, which is what makes a pie dough nice and flaky. See here? You see these little chunks of butter and lard? This is what you want. You want to keep it sort of messy looking, sort of ragged, with these little chunks. That's exactly what we want right now. So this pie dough recipe is enough to make 2 pie shells, or 1 closed top pie. I'm going to just use half of the pie dough today and freeze the other half, because we're going to make a featured crumble pie. As you can see, I'm just using my fingertips. I'm not ever using my palms. Now, really measure the water that goes into the pie dough, but it's approximately 1/4 cup. So I'm just going to measure 1/4 cup of ice cold water, and I'm just going to sort of swirl it in like this. As you can see, it's sort of coming together a bit. Just a little bit. A little bit of flour down on the counter here, and turn this out. At this point you can use your palms a bit. Maybe a little bit of water. Not much. Move that bowl out of the way so you can see what's going on here. Okay. And that is good. So it's okay that it looks sort of ragged, that it's almost peeling off, because that means that there's still chunks of butter. And ideally, you let this chill in the fridge, wrapped in plastic wrap, for at least an hour. Half an hour is fine too. Half an hour will do. You just want to let it rest. The gluten needs to just chill out in the fridge, and and then we'll be ready to roll. Right, it's time to roll out the pie dough. Just flour the board here a little bit. Form this into a nice sort of ball. Just roughly. That's roughly a disc there. And it's a little flaky, and that's exactly what you want. Pull it over. Here we go. I'm just going to roll this out. Don't worry if it's not a perfect circle right off the bat. That's fine. I'm going to keep it fairly even, so I like to move it. And again, I always just move it with my fingertips. You roll from the inside out. Just put a little bit of flour under there. So I'm feeling it's getting a little sticky. I also floured my rolling pin. Again, you can see the little blobs of butter in there. Just perfect. It's totally what we want. Now I'm just going to fold it over onto itself like that. You don't need to do anything to the pie plate. Just like that is perfect. We're just going to classic farm stand sort of pie look. Fork.